Welcome once again to Huckins on Film. I'm your host, Kyle Huckins. And being a fledgling internet movie critic, I've obviously been influenced by quite a few that have come before me. One of the many who've influenced me, that is the cinema snob Brad Jones. I think you can figure out why I'm bringing this up. The Cinema Snob Movie. I have watched it. It is Lloyd approved. If that doesn't mean anything to you, well, that's your loss, not mine. I got this in the mail the other day. I've actually seen it twice already. There's 3 commentary tracks on here. I just watched the one with Brad Jones, Jillian Zarowski, director Ryan Mitchell, and co-star Jake Norvell. That was a pretty good commentary track, although I don't know if it was my audio setup or theirs when they recorded it. But Brad's mic's a bit too loud, so when he starts laughing, you can't hear anything until he stops. Very minor bitch. Still enjoyed it quite a bit. I still have yet to watch the rest of Team Snob's commentary. And there's a comedy one by Doug and Rob Walker, that guy with glasses.com. As for the movie itself, comedy fucking gold. That's the only way I can describe this. Basic story is Brad Jones plays Craig Golightly, who's trying to make his exploitation masterpiece, Black Angus, with the help of his friend Neil, who's going to direct. He's played by Jake Norvell. Now, they need all kinds of film permits to try to get this thing filmed. And unfortunately, the guy who's in charge of giving out filming permits is the head of a local film club named Dan Phillips, played by director Ryan Mitchell. He is a true cinema snob. Anything Terrence Malick could just take a dump on a camera, and he would spend 14 hours telling you how he'd managed to break down the meaning of life from that brief movement, so to speak. And this whole film club, they're all like this. They just get ultra pretentious and overanalyze the hell out of everything. We're talking worse than me when I'm watching a David Cronenberg flick. He causes me to do that for some reason. But since he's that pretentious, he basically feels like unless it is true art, it has no right to exist. So there's no way in hell he's going to allow Black Angus to be made. Now it's about Craig and Neil's attempts to infiltrate this society, win them over, and get their permits by hook or by crook. And of course things start going a little off kilter when people start dying. And also there's a further complication when Dan's wife Nancy is played by Jillian Zarowski. She kind of ends up with Craig, who's infiltrated the film snobs under the name Vincent Dawn. Some of you are laughing, others need an explanation. Vincent Dawn is one of the many pseudonyms of the great Italian exploitation director Bruno Mattei. If you're a big Cinema Snob fan, you're very familiar with this name because it's one of Brad Jones' favorite directors. And I don't blame him, because the man's made some very interesting movies. fact, one little random aside. There's a part where I don't remember exactly what happened, but he talks about SS Girls, making SS Girls the musical. I was so pissed when I heard that, because about a month ago, I went to a concert. When I went to see Accept. Maybe you saw that review, maybe you didn't. I was walking around Times Square and seeing all the Broadway shows and whatever, and first thing that popped in my head is, what, Ilsa the She-Wolf musical? No, that's not theatrical enough, but you know what is? SS Girls. Because if you've ever seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, where one of the main Nazis, Hans Schellenberg, played by Gabriel Carrara, he gives a theatrical performance in that movie. He is playing it to the back row the whole time. Kind of a proto-Crispin Glover thing going. That's why I think SS Girls would be a great Broadway show if adapted by the right hands. I look, those hands aren't on my wrists most likely, but maybe someone out there will be inspired by my words to go forth and do my bidding. But probably not. Anyway, I'm not going to just going to give the very bare bones story there, because I don't want to give away too much. In fact, that's about all I can give away. During their struggles, Craig and Neil pick up an ally, Neil's old high school classmate, Gene. He's a very rich, very successful, very powerful guy. He's played by Noah Antweiler. You may know better as the Spoony one. Dear Lord, Noah. He has a significant role in the movie, but it's not very large. Which is probably a good thing, because the man steals every scene he's in. The man is comedy gold. The guy's a genius. Because I'm sure this is how the character is written. It's also, I'm sure a good chunk of it is also from Spoony himself. Where Gene is, how do we put this? Eccentric. And by eccentric, I mean him in reality are mostly communicating through their lawyers. Decided it would be best to not have any direct contact. It's one of those, in terms of scene stealing, he's up there with Colin Farrell and Horrible Bosses. Maybe just a little below Kevin Kline managing to steal A Fish Called Wanda from John Cleese and Michael Palin. It's one of those, whenever he comes on screen, you can't take your eyes off it, because, oh dear Lord, what is he going to say next? And it never disappoints. Even the scenes where he's relatively sane, he's still he's still incredibly funny, even when he's being... In fact, he's probably funnier during those few lucid moments his character has. Because Black Angus, the movie they want to make is Black Angus, an incredibly convoluted blaxploitation roller disco movie. And they're going to make it with their friends, but they don't have any black friends. So Neil, of course, being director / borderline sociopath that he is, obvious solution. Blackface. Hello? It's another thing I love about this movie. Being offensive, not really a problem. They don't mind doing that. God bless them for it. Luckily, Spoonie manages to track down Vladimir, played by Orlando Belial, who gives a very good performance in this movie. But Spoonie's introducing him, and he's reading off his credits. It's clear that Vladimir is more than qualified to do the role. But one of the movies Spoonie's lists for him is he was in Amistad, and Amistad 2, The Quickening. I've never heard of Amistad 2, The Quickening, but I kind of want to see that. If you don't get that joke, I can't help you. You need to track down a copy of Highlander Stat. Seriously, shut this off, go watch Highlander, and come back, and we'll talk. And, there's so much to go into, it's very hard to keep it all straight. The rest of the regulars from the site, as well as Brad's Ninja the Mission Force partner Ed Glazer, are in this, mostly filling out the film snobs. Brian Irving is... Sorry, I can't remember names for shit. Where is he? He plays Derek Silver. And, you know, he's supposed to be all pretentious and snobby. And he cranks it up to about 38. It's not a subtle performance. It's not nuanced at all. It's not supposed to be. He just says, "Oh, you want me to be snobby?" Turns the knob all the way to the right. He's incredible. And he's playing it totally straight. Like, he's very convincing as a man who believes his bullshit. And what wonderful bullshit it is. Sarah Lewis plays his wife, who's probably the sanest person in the whole movie. She has actual understandable reactions to most of the stuff going on, as opposed to pretty much everyone else. Like I said, getting back to Jake Norvell's performance as Neil. Neil's not a bad person. He just... The concept of empathy eludes him. He wants to direct. In fact, there's a really good scene in there where he does kind of show off that he is in fact a director, and not just basically Brad Pitt from True Romance, who just sits around on the couch eating junk food and drinking all the time. There's a scene where you believe this guy does have some directing chops. And it's also weird because throughout the whole movie, you just see him as this being very selfish, lacking empathy, and really just being monomaniacal about wanting to direct, but he's never done anything to show that he has a clue what he's doing. So you get the idea, like, yeah, he wants to direct, but probably can't. No, he gets a scene where you're like, oh, maybe this guy's got some chops after all. Trying to... Yeah, character Vladimir. Lionel Belial, he's very good. You know, he's aspiring, he wants... You know, the man wants to act. Black Angus could be his big break. And towards the end of the movie, when things go off the rails in a great way, that's when you can tell he's a bit of a method actor. He's very good at getting into his role, even if there's no camera around. Because towards the end of the movie, with the help of Jake, he psychs himself into believing that he is indeed Black Angus. With hilarious results, of course. Because he doesn't actually know what he's doing as an action hero, he's an actor. But again, he's another borderline personality in this movie who believes his own bullshit. To get back to the film snobs, best performance is probably of that little group is Ed Glazer. He just plays this guy named Chester. And he sits there, he doesn't say anything for most of the movie. He doesn't even blink. He just kind of has the head, just has his eyes open incredibly wide, just has his head cocked at a slight angle. It's one of those, like, okay, what is your glitch, sir? And then when you finally do hear him speak, it's very slow and deliberate. It reminds me a little of Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, to be honest. Like, not the actual words themselves, but his cadence. Like, his actual get the idea he's a very lonely guy. He just wants to fit in. But he doesn't... He's just too damn weird. And also he mentions one of his fetishes in this film, and that's one of those, like, okay, you know what? Don't mention that on the first date. Trust me on this. It's a little weird. But overall, it's good. And if you're not a Cinema Snob fan, you can watch this. You can still enjoy it. It's one of those. I think they did a good job, kind of like the producers of Shaun of the Dead, where they made a very good standalone movie. But with Shaun of the Dead, I know lots of people who don't even like horror flicks who love that movie. Me, I'm a hardcore zombie freak. So there's so many little tidbits in there, just like, the movie absolutely blows my mind. They do the same here. There are a lot of in-jokes with the website and with his show, but you don't have to get them all to enjoy this movie. One problem people might have with this movie is that it is a little over 2 hours. It's a long movie. It does not feel long at all, though. It goes by really fast. There's a couple parts here and there that maybe drag a little bit, but it's not significant enough to wreck any enjoyment of the film you get. Let me see, who haven't... I still have yet to discuss Ryan Mitchell's performance as Dan. I don't know, I think I covered him pretty well. He is definitely the pretentious snob and a complete dick. And he's very good at it. I know who I missed. I missed Jillian Zarowski as his wife, Nancy. Now, Nancy and Dan have this little problem. They're married and they hate each other. He's an ultra-pretentious film snob. He likes Fellini. She likes Fulci. That's why she's the one who immediately cuts through Craig's scam because she knows that Vincent Dawn is a Bruno Mattei pseudonym. In fact, there's a great scene where her and Craig are they're walking around, they're discussing old exploitation flicks. And the chemistry between them is just, well, I mean, hell, they were married. And I mean, it's one of those you just watch, it's like, oh, just get these two together now. They're made for each other. I mean, yeah, they're only talking about exploitation films, but yeah, the chemistry between them is really good. It's been good in their other it's been really good in their other movies too. I mean, it's incredibly, really funny stuff. But it's also, yeah, there are parts of this movie that are actually pretty touching. You know, a couple members dying, of course, you know, Candy's all broken up over it, especially since one of them was her husband, who, even though he's fucking weird as shit, and also a peeping Tom / massive pervert. Not that I'm knocking being a massive pervert. Massive perverts are cool in my book. I consider myself one. But, like, when she's reacting to these people's deaths, you know, it's actually, wow. You know, you feel it. Because she gives a really good performance. Let me see that others. Or when Jake manages to psych up Vladimir. When Neil manages to psych up Vladimir to be Black Angus. That's one of those movie moments where you just want to stand up and yell, fuck yeah. No, he's really good. You know, like I said, everyone in this is really good. The only complaint I have about the movie, and it's very minor, is that, yeah, maybe it's a little longer than it needs to be. But not by much. So, oh, another feature I forgot on here, the gag reel. Definitely want to watch that because there's a bunch of alternate takes. Like, there's one scene where Noah Antweiler's where Gene's talking, and said, "I'm powerful like Reese's Pieces." There's a bunch of alternate takes for that where he says he's powerful like, I can't even remember, because when he says them, I'm laughing so hard, and I simply just don't remember them. Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, it's one of the, wow, they could have used any of those takes. But overall, definitely check it out. You will not regret it. Now that the review is over, I want to make a personal plea to Brad Jones. Should he watch this by some miracle? One of the movies he talked about making in here is the one where the casino gets flooded and sharks attack the customers inside during the flood. And it's called Card Shark. Write this movie. Write it. Call the asylum. Yeah. Step 1, write Card Shark. Step 2, get in touch with the asylum. Step 3, take my money. Because I want to see this fucking movie so bad. It sounds so utterly preposterous that it could be just fantastic. It's one of those, just from hearing the title and that one sentence premise, like, I need to be a billionaire so I can bankroll that. Because honestly, if I had fuck tons of money to blow making movies, that's the second movie I'd make. Nothing personal, Mr. Jones. I need a Dredd... Actually, you'd be happy with this. I need a Dredd sequel first. Honestly, I think you'll agree with me. We need a Dredd sequel a lot more. But yeah, seriously, I want to see Card Shark. That, honestly, that's one of those that could potentially depose Nazis at the Center of the Earth as my favorite asylum flick. Yeah, I'm giving you that much credit. And Nazis at the Center of the Earth had Jake Busey in it. Anyway, I'm gonna cut this off now. I've rambled on far too long. That's Kyle Huckins for Huckins on Film. Fucking off.